You're listening to the Patenting for Inventors podcast with registered patent attorney, Dr. Adam Diament, founder of Diament Patent Law, the #1 source for securing your intellectual property needs. Now, here's your host, Adam Diament.
Hello and welcome to the Patenting for Inventors podcast. My name is Adam Diament, a registered patent attorney and founder and owner of Diament Patent Law in Los Angeles, California. I can be contacted through my website at diamentpatentlaw.com. That's D-I-A-M-E-N-T, patentlaw.com. Or you can call me at 424-281-0162. This is my 7th bonus episode, and my bonus episodes are where I interview people doing things adjacent to what I do, but still related to patents or intellectual property or product development or things of that sort. Hope you enjoy. All right, today on my bonus episode, I'm going to have Al Martinez. And for all of the bonus episodes that I do, no one actually ever pays for any advertising or anything. These are all just people that I know personally or have used on a professional basis. And Al is a patent drawings draftsman, which is the type of work that I do all the time. So Al, why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about your background and how you got into this line of work and your training.
Sure. My name is Alfonso Martinez. Most people call me Al. I'm the owner of AM Patent Drawings and Graphics. We're a small patent illustration company just located right outside of Washington, D.C., Northern Virginia, specifically at Tyson's Corner, just actually pretty close to the U.S. Patent Office. And we specialize in doing patent illustrations, design patents, utility patents, trademarks.
And did you have like your background as like a graphic designer, or have you just kind of been an artist your whole life, or how did you get into it?
Yeah, well, I've always been an artist my whole life. I studied visual communications at Towson University, and I actually one of my first jobs after college, I think it was my second job, was working for a patent illustration company. So I worked there for about 4.5 years, moved on to doing marketing. I worked for a marketing company after that, and I did that for about 5 years. And then pretty soon after that, I started out as a freelancer and then transitioned to starting AM Patent Drawings and Graphics.
Okay, very nice. And you do other, because AM Patent Drawings and Graphics, so you do other things as well in terms of the drawings. What are some of the other types of drawings that you do?
We do. Obviously, I had a background in graphic design, so we have all those capabilities. We have web development, print design, some multimedia stuff. But AM Patent Drawings and Graphics, just over the years, we've been able to, obviously we're doing the patent illustrations, but some of our clients have kind of reached out to us to do other types of work, such as sometimes we'll do 3D renderings. A lot of inventors. It's not uncommon for an inventor to come to us and say, hey, can you do the patent drawings? And then we do the patent drawings. And then they're like, hey, can you, I'm trying to pitch this product to different companies or so forth. And sometimes they don't really they haven't developed a prototype yet. So a lot of times they'll come to us and ask for a 3D model to sort of a realistic 3D image that they can use in marketing materials when they're pitching that stuff, their products to companies. So we do a little bit of that. We also do other types of technical drawings. A lot of recently, we've been doing a good amount of instruction manual illustrations or assembly drawings. It's very much in line with patent illustrations, so it's similar work. It's something we're pretty capable of, and we've done some projects with that. And then also we also do a little bit of trial graphics or litigation graphics. So. Similar situation where clients sometimes, some of our attorney clients that we do drawings for will then come to us and say, hey, can you guys give us a little support with a litigation or a court case that they have? And a lot of times we'll take the drawings and just kind of manipulate them a little bit so they can be put into their presentations or and so forth. So, yeah.
Okay. And, focusing on the patent drawings, whenever I do applications, the drawings are pretty different whether I'm doing what's called a utility patent application and a design patent application. I always get like a little bit scared when it comes to the design application, because something that maybe a lot of inventors don't realize is that when you do a utility application, what you're getting protection for are the words that you're writing in the claims. The drawings are to help understand that. But for a design application, your drawings are your invention. So if you mess that up, you're messing up what you're saying your invention is, and that can kind of kill your whole business and design.
Yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit about the differences between the design patent drawings and the utility patent drawings, and what goes into that?
Sure. So the simplest way to think of them is, design patent, sort of how the name implies, is really about what the product or device looks like. So in a design case, you'll do this in most cases. There's some variations, but the standard design case will include 7 views. It'll be a perspective view, usually showing 3 sides. If you think of the product as a cube, a lot of times a perspective view will show the front surface, the top surface, and a side surface. So like 3 sides of that cube. And in addition, you'll do all the other sides individually as planar views. So you'll do you've got the perspective, then you'll move on to the front view, the rear view, left, right, top, and bottom. So you're really giving a full 360 view of the product. And yeah, you're right. The drawings kind of do most of the provides most of the information on that product. It's about what it looks like. And in a utility, it's really about the function of how that invention works or is applied or used. So there, sometimes we do utilities that are very simple, and it'll be just one drawing. It's rare, but it does happen. And then actually, just very recently, we worked on a case that was 374 pages of drawings.
Wow.
So
what was that type of invention? What was it that needed so many?
It was an extremely detailed invention. It was pretty complex. It was a treatment for different eye conditions. So it was a pretty extensive set of drawings. And it was actually more than drawings. We included lots of flow charts. Mm-hmm. There was lots of illustrations of different conditions of the eye, and even some photographs as well. So,
I'm just curious, how long did that project take you to do?
I believe the total drafting time on it was about 32 hours, if I recall.
Okay.
So yeah, it was a big case.
Okay. And, ideally, I don't know who contacts you most. Is it mostly patent attorneys that will contact you, or do you get a lot of individual inventors who feel like they want to do it themselves, but they know they need someone professional?
We get a wide range. We get a lot of inventors here and there, but I'd say the bulk of our work are patent attorneys, just because it's sort of recurring work. So, but we do a lot of work with inventors directly, even some manufacturers and corporations as well.
Okay. And in an ideal world, what do you like the inventors to give you? Let's say it was something fairly simple, where it's a new shoe design. What would, just give me an example, say in an ideal world, I would have this from you.
In an ideal world, it would either be the actual product or prototype.
Now, do people send that? Does people mail that to you, the physical product? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. They can always mail stuff to us. It's not a problem at all. And when we're done, we can ship it back to them. Ideally nowadays, what's ideal is, either the actual product, or a lot of times now, people have engineering drawings done or a 3D model that we can base the drawings on. But we ultimately work with a wide range of stuff, even hand sketches.
Okay. That's kind of my next question was the non-ideal situation, I guess, are hand sketches. I always tell people the problem is, I tell people in an ideal world, you want your patent drawings to look like what your actual product is going to be, because Absolutely. Most of the time for patent drawings, they're mostly useful if people want to do a direct knockoff of you, and it looks exactly the same. So if you just kind of, give some, half-assed version of something and your end product looks different, someone knocks off your end product, it doesn't look like your patent at all, and they might be able to get away with it. So in an ideal world, you like to have your finished product to give to the draftsman.
Yeah, for sure. And I see it happen a lot. Sometimes we'll do a set of drawings for somebody, and then they'll come back and say, oh, the product kind of changed, and now we got to, and they're like, can you make the changes? And I'm like, wow, it's a little more than changes. It's almost like a new set of drawings here. So yeah, it's important, I think, from the inventor side when you're at the stage of producing the drawings, of having the drawings produced, it's important to make sure that your idea or concept or whatever is fully developed. And it may not always be in a final state. It's probably an evolving thing, but you want to make sure that when you're getting that protection, it's the product that's out there.
Drawings often for a
Sure.
design patent are the hardest thing to fix. And oftentimes you can't fix it because any fix you make is going to be considered something new that you're adding to the application. You can't add anything new, so you have to do a new application. And if you do a new application, sometimes that doesn't work legally because something else has come out in the meantime. So in terms of like fixing drawings, if someone comes to you and says like, hey, I got this rejection, can you help me out? What do you do? Do you actually look at the office action yourself and figure it out, or I'm sure, working with attorneys is usually better because, they have some concept of what you can and can't do, but can you go through your process of what you do for fixing drawings?
Sure. Yeah. And it happens quite frequently, actually. Ideally, people will send us the actual office action and the drawings that they originally submitted. It's difficult. What happens is a lot of times what you submit to the patent office the first go around, you're kind of stuck with them a little bit. You can't really, there's some limitations on, hey, changing things. Like you mentioned, the new matter is a big thing. You can't introduce new matter to it. So yeah, it's pretty often. And the great thing is that the office action itself, the examiners are usually pretty good about being very specific as to what needs to change in the drawings for them to be allowed. So, there's a lot of, they're usually pretty in-depth and we're used to reading through them and going through them. And usually that's enough for us to correct. And when we correct them, we're usually pretty literal and do exactly what the examiner is asking for. Even though sometimes some examiners could be a little inconsistent and can be picky about certain things when, sometimes I might think that it's what they're asking for in a correction might be okay and isn't a big deal, but it's best to just do exactly what they're asking for.
Yeah, I've always found it's better just instead of trying to fight the examiner.
Yeah.
If you don't want to, don't do it. You want to let them, make them your friend and just kind of be as appeasing as you can.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, it's tough because that's why I always, a lot of times people want to kind of do their own drawings to sort of cut costs and save time maybe or whatever. But it's tough because when you first submit those drawings, you're kind of stuck with those. I mean, you can modify them and correct things, but it's kind of what you submitted and you kind of have to stick with it. You can't go back and then get professionally done drawings. So it's important to start off with a good set of drawings to begin with.
Yeah. I mean, you have a little bit more flexibility if someone did hand sketches in the utility application. And let's say the examiner says, these lines aren't durable black ink. And then you could kind of go over them, and do that. So that works better than the design application. But
I was going to say that designs are actually a lot more difficult. It's really, in a design case, it's really about making sure that the drawings are consistently shown in all of those 7 views that I mentioned earlier. If you've got a button perfectly in the middle on the front surface in one view, it's got to be in that same position, in that same scale in all of the other views as well.
Yeah, and I tell people that I think that design patent examiners are some of the most anal people in terms of I'm amazed at what they catch. So in one view, something was like at 32 degrees. Another view was like at 33 degrees. They took out a protractor or something and told me that, something was off by a degree. And luckily we could change it because we could say, okay, well, in this one view, it's 32 degrees. So by making everything to 32 degrees, we're not adding any new material. So sometimes you can get away with it, but you don't want to mess around with that.
Yeah, it can be tough.
Yeah. What would you say are some typical traps that you kind of see? I don't know if traps is the right word. When people do their own stuff, what are kind of the main things that oftentimes they'll mess up on? The biggest thing, and especially for design cases, it's just accuracy and consistency throughout all the views. Somebody who isn't trained sometimes, like that example I gave of the button being in the same position at the same scale. It's, that consistency throughout all the views is probably the biggest thing. A lot of times they won't show it correctly in another view. Now, to get it really consistent, I could see that it'd be useful where if you create one 3D image, that's a single image, and then from that image yourself, you could easily create the front and the rear and the top and the bottom, and therefore everything's consistent. Is that typically what you do? If someone sends you sketches, do you kind of create a 3D image, or how do you usually go about doing that to make sure everything is, consistent?
Yeah, sometimes we do. This is something we do every day, so we're pretty good at it. And if it's a simple object, a lot of times we can just kind of freehand it and draw it. And what we do is we'll draw, as an example, draw like the front view, and then use that to draw the left side view and drawing it kind of in line right next to it. Make sure, and we'll put guides in to make sure everything's lined up consistently. But if it's a more complicated object, and it's not uncommon to get one or two photos from an inventor. Sometimes we will actually build the model just to help us, because sometimes it's difficult to rotate something and draw it from an opposite view, three-dimensionally, rotate it in your head to draw it. So having that model, we do. We use Blender, and we'll put together a model and take that extra time just to make sure that the drawings are consistent and accurate in all the other views.
You said Blender, is the name of an app?
Blender is a 3D modeling software that we use for those situations.
Typically for patent drawings, what are some costs? I know some people do, flat rate, whatever it is. Other people kind of have a scale depending on the complexity. How do you do yours?
Well, we've tried flat rate in the past, and it doesn't. The jobs vary, and they're so much in size and detail, and it's difficult to do flat rate. So really what determines cost for us, it's how long we spend on drawing them. So we have some clients that like being billed at the per sheet price, and we have some clients that like being billed hourly. Ultimately, that because time is the determining factor of cost for us, I look at what the time spent on it, and if they want it per sheet, we have different. We have 4 tiers of prices for sheets depending on the complexity. I just work it out to be, but it ends up working out to be.
Can you give us rates, like kind of a range of prices that it would be from very simple to complex?
Well, I think I'd say on average design cases, just the 7 standard views, like a standard design case, is anywhere from 200 to 400, just depending on the complexity.
For all the drawings, not just per page.
For all the drawings. And utilities, it really depends on it. Utility could be any number of sheets, so it really depends. But our hourly rate $60 an hour, which is kind of in the middle, industry standard. So, and that's the biggest determining time is determines the cost for us.
And typical turnaround time is how long?
For us, we ask for 5 business days.
Kind of going back to kind of the rules for drawings. Generally I mostly do US stuff. I do some foreign stuff, and often of the foreign stuff I do, there's something called the PCT application. So there are different rules from different places in the world. Can you just maybe talk about what are some kind of common differences that might occur in how you do drawings depending on where you need them that you're aware of?
So I've noticed over the past, I'd say like 5 years or so, we've been doing more and more foreign filing. So we do a lot. We do a lot of applications, obviously US and then PCT as well. The difference between US and PCT is not much. It's just the margins are a little different. The page size is a little different, but for the most part, it's very similar. But now that we're doing more and more foreign filing, for instance, a lot of apps get filed in China nowadays. Their rules are a little different. We can really reuse the same drawings, but China does not like any surface shading on their drawings. They really just want the structural outlines of the drawings. So when we do that, we take those out. Another thing that China doesn't like, and I think they just changed it recently, is dash lines. They used to not want to see dash lines. In a design case, you'll typically show features or the environment of the product in dash lines. You're not really claiming those parts. So when those drawings get sent over to China, you either have to eliminate those dashed out portions or you have to turn them solid. And then there's different variations. We do some in Korea and Brazil and Europe as well. And there's different subtle differences in the drawings, different dash lines, different shading, different rules for photographs. But for the most part, we can always use the same drawings and just kind of manipulate them a little bit to be able to get filed in different markets.
Right. Yeah, I've noticed that shading is kind of the big issue that There's big differences
Yeah,
in
that's
what
the
countries
biggest.
like. And in terms of the dotted or dashed lines, for maybe the listeners that aren't aware, let's say, for example, I had a cell phone and then I want to show in the design, I want to show like a person holding it. Now, normally, if I were to just draw a regular person there and it's solid lines, in the US, what you do is you're claiming the design of a person. You're like trying to saying your invention is a human shape holding a phone, and you don't want that. So in the US, what you do is you create a dotted line, and in the application text, you write everything in dotted lines is not what I'm claiming, but it just kind of helps the user understand.
Yeah, and those dashed lines could be helpful to understand it. And yeah, in that case, if those drawings were to be used in China, we would remove the dashed lines of the person.
Right. Let's see. Is there anything else that you want to tell any listeners? Oftentimes someone will come to me and they'll say, oh, I already have my own drawings. Can you knock down your price? And I say, well, unless you've gone to an actual patent person, like if you went to Al and said, I have Al's drawing, I would say, sure, I'm not going to charge you for drawings. But other than that, I will, I'll say, you know what, it's not worth it. I need to pay someone to do it. Is there anything kind of you would tell your listeners to help them in helping you kind of do the best job possible?
Yeah, it's really about reference material. There's that expression, garbage in, garbage out. And I hate to use it in this case because anything that we produce, I would refer to as garbage. But the quality and the information that's in the reference material that you submit to get the drawings done is super important. If we don't have the information, like for instance, if it's very simplified sketches of a product, we can't put in that detail if it doesn't exist in the information we're giving. So we can only do as good a job as the reference material that we're given. And it's a tough situation for some inventors because a lot of times they're on a budget. They don't want to spend a lot on a prototype or getting engineering drawings done. And I think we do a pretty good job of working with the inventors. And if sketches is all we're getting, then a conversation saying, hey, this is how this looks, or this should look like that, or this is just giving us as much information as possible. We can incorporate all that info into the drawings. But if it's missing, we can't put it in there. Right.
All right. So lots of really good information got from you. I think it's the first time I've actually talked to a patent draftsman or patent drawing draftsman about the whole process. It's been informational for me too. Can you let us know the best way for people to contact you?
Yeah, absolutely. They can probably the website's probably the best way. You can take a look at our website. We've got a bunch of samples of our work out over there, of all the types of work, patent illustration, 3D rendering, trial graphics, and other types of technical illustrations. And we also even have some articles that we put out on our blog as well. The URL is ampatentdrawings.com. And you can always give us a phone call as well. The office phone number is 703-848-3503.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being a guest on my show. And, I'm sure I'll be in contact with you soon for some more projects.
Yeah, absolutely, Adam. It's a pleasure. And we'll talk soon.
I hope you enjoyed this special bonus episode with patent drawing draftsman Alfonso Martinez from AM Patent Drawings and Graphics. The audio quality, when he said his phone number, cut out just a little bit, so I wanted to say it again. It's 703-848-3503. And if you want help with your patent applications, trademarks, copyrights, responding to rejections, appeals, or anything else related to your invention, please contact me, and I'm more than happy to assist you. I'm Adam Diament, and until next time, keep on inventing.
Thanks for listening to the Patenting for Inventors podcast. For more information and help with your own intellectual property needs, contact Adam Diament directly by going to diamentpatentlaw.com. That's DIAMENT patentlaw.com. Or click the show links to connect by phone, text, or social media. The contents of this podcast are intended for general informational purposes only. The facts of every legal matter are unique, and the content of this podcast should not be construed as offering legal advice for your specific legal situation. The preceding information may be considered an attorney advertisement and does not establish any attorney-client relationship.